everyone. My name is Chris. My channel is called The Body Wish. It's an honor to be here. I hope you're doing well. I'm looking forward to helping you develop some simple habits to enhance your wellness journey. My recommendations include clinically proven methods versus opinions and hearsay. I'll be recommending foods that set you up for success, and I'll also share some ways to improve your self-confidence. Having that higher level of self-confidence along with great nutrition helps to ensure you have a successful wellness journey. My presentation is intended for educational purposes. I don't diagnose, treat, prevent, cure, or treat any illnesses. That is the role of your healthcare provider. All right, let's get started, shall we? I'll be delving into a few components of my recommendations for a weight loss journey without calorie deficit. You heard it right. I'll be talking about mindset, food cravings, the downsides of calorie deficit, and I'll share a simple holistic system that has undergone 7 human clinical trials with publications in some of the top medical journals. I am talking about a revolutionary safe method to sustain long-term weight goals. Part of the equation does involve consuming superfoods. Now, once you're at a point in your life where you're open to lifestyle enhancements that will have a positive impact on you, you are ready to embark on a path of personal growth. But I first want to take a few minutes and explore some of the reasons that hold people back from taking that first step. Now, one of the reasons is obvious. We know by now that life is not a walk in the park. It's quite the opposite. And it's very easy to feel stuck and frustrated. Many of us live with a heightened state of anxiety. Now, when this happens for long periods of time, people lose direction because life has no meaning, there's no sense of purpose, there's no happiness on the horizon. Now, this is also where we get disconnected from taking care of ourselves because it no longer has the importance it deserves. Hello, unhealthy lifestyle habits. And trying to turn this around can feel like you're pushing a boulder up a hill. On paper, it shouldn't be this difficult, yet here we are. All right, so when you're living with this, it's no surprise you feel demoralized. And that's okay. It's okay to grieve. It's okay to indulge in self-pity. These are your feelings. We all have a right to these. You will never hear me say, you shouldn't feel this way. In my experience, I found it's better just to acknowledge this than not. But there is a catch. As much as you feel justified in this unhappiness, how much of your life do you want to spend just bitching about it and not taking any kind of action? Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. Simply complaining about it is a gateway to an unhealthy, unfulfilled life. And nobody wants this for themselves. I don't want this to happen to you. I don't want this for anybody. So how can we really turn things around? Well, here's what life has taught me. Rule number 1 is consistency. Consistently telling yourself you have the goods. And you don't do this once in a while or when the mood hits you. This is not a part-time job. It's a commitment that you make to yourself every single day and throughout the day. Because if you're spending hours feeling down and doom and gloom, don't you think you deserve to give yourself a pat on the back at some point in the day? Of course you do. You owe this to yourself. Don't wait for recognition or praise to come from the outside. There are no billboards on the side of the highway that are going to say, acknowledge your greatness. Many of us were not even taught this growing up. And some have been misled to think that this is egotistical. It's not egotistical. It's about being comfortable in your own shoes. It's about being a friend instead of a nemesis. Why is this important? Because you have to live with yourself. Now, many of you sometimes feel you didn't measure up to somebody's expectations, or maybe you didn't reach a milestone in life. Leave that in the past where it belongs, because there is no hierarchy. There's no such thing as they're up there because they're great and I'm down here because I'm not. That's a lie so many people tell themselves over and over again. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of it. How about you start saying things like, today I overcome all of my setbacks. You don't fail, you either win or you learn. Now, sometimes when you say these are known as affirmations. These are short, positive phrases that instill a sense of self-confidence. Now, they might not feel like anything when you first start to say this, but if you repeat them from the time that you wake up and repeat them throughout the day, little by little, it's going to start to perk your mood up. You're going to start to feel that sense of optimism. It's a lot like exercise without the lactic acid. That's a comparison I like to make. And what it does is that optimism starts to change your whole outlook on life. When your outlook changes, you start to realize all the things you were missing out on, little things, little simple things that you'll start to take pleasure in because your head is now rising above the fog. Let me backtrack for a second now for those who get stuck in this. And I've been there myself too, so I speak from experience. All of us at some point feel stuck in life. Now, many times what people do is they turn to something to put a smile on their face. And one of the biggest go-to is food. Food is pleasurable. I know, I lived with a chef for 10 years, so again, I can speak from experience. But here's a catch with the food, and specifically the food industry. This becomes habitual in part because a lot of the foods that you have in the supermarkets, they don't have the nutrients that we need. So what this causes, and this is deliberate by the way, this causes food cravings. It causes food cravings to become persistent, even obsessive. And it becomes like the footsteps towards developing unhealthy eating habits, chronic eating habits. So at first it was something that started out as pleasurable. Yes, it's fun to eat, it's fun to get filled up. But because the foods are missing a lot of the nutrients that we need, those cravings, they kind of hang out. They're like a mosquito in your ear. They keep buzzing. It's like it wants more, it wants more, it wants more. Now, of course, these kind of habits lead to people becoming overweight. This is all by design. All right, there's no coincidences here. Let's go into a time machine for a moment, back to the 1960s, when only 10% of the population here in the US was overweight. Now, fast forward, here we are in 2025. More than half of the population is overweight. Half that group is obese, the other half is pre-diabetic. What's changed? The quality of the foods, the environment has gotten more polluted over the decades. We're dealing with lots of stress. All of these factors are kind of hammering on us, hammering not only on our immune system, also hammering on our morale. There's a lot of stress in the world. All right, nobody's going to argue about that. So let's say you're such an individual, or you know such an individual who's experiencing this, and the weight has just gotten out of control. But you also recognize that there's a lot of risks with this, and you want to get onto some kind of a successful weight loss journey, one that's going to serve you not in the immediate future, but for the long haul. And see, it's the long haul that is tripping so many people up. Most people, if not all, reach for some method of calorie deficit. So I want to spend a couple minutes talking about what calorie deficit and what it is and what it is not. First of all, the whole idea of counting calories is obsolete science. And everything I'm about to share with you is based on clinical research, so you guys don't even have to take my opinion for it. There's actual medical research that's been confirming this. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to switch cameras for a minute. This is a study that, if you've been on my presentations in the past, I always point out this study. Now, this is just one study, but it also happens to be one that's easy to find and it's easy to understand. It's Harvard University Stop Counting Calories. And what the scientists discovered in this is that not only is counting calories ineffective, the science behind it is flat out wrong. Here's what's happening when you go into a calorie deficit. So first of all, your body doesn't count calories. Your body doesn't know what a calorie is. It only understands nutrition. When you're going into a calorie deficit, what you're effectively doing is dialing back the amount of fuel your body needs to operate on. Now, at first, it seems logical. You know, if you're overweight, if you cut back on the amount of food you eat, you will lose weight. Absolutely, you will. There's no debate about that. Anybody can lose weight going into calorie deficit. You can go on a Coca-Cola diet, and guess what? You can lose weight. But there's something that happens to the immune system as a result of this. Once the brain senses there's not enough fuel to operate, a lot of the basics, like blinking your eyes, just being awake, thinking, okay, all of this requires a certain amount of energy. What happens is your body turns to other sources for energy. And the two places it goes to is fat, but it also goes to muscle. That's why diets and these pharmaceutical drugs, these semaglutides, are referred to as weight loss, and they're not fat loss, because you're not just burning off fat. Now, the downside of this is when you start to burn off muscle, this slows down your metabolism. And we've all heard the term before. I'll just give you a quick and dirty definition. The metabolism is all the processes that the body undergoes when it's converting food into energy. When that slows down, it becomes harder and harder to burn fat. Again, none of this is my opinion. This is all what the science says. You guys can look this up. I always encourage people to look things up on your own. So that is why that's the primary reason why so many people hit a brick wall. They have some success in the beginning. They start to drop the weight. Then at some point they hit that plateau. And then the worst part about it is they think there's something wrong with them and they blame themselves for not having willpower. This is not about willpower. This is the primary limitation of calorie deficit. It's the outcome of every method of calorie deficit out there. Throwing the body into deprivation, burning muscles, slowing the metabolism, bam, you hit the brick wall. So here's another thing for you guys. There is no medical proof that calorie deficit works long term. You're True Alpha. I got a solution for you, True Alpha. In a couple minutes, I'm going to run something by you that actually does not operate on calorie deficit, and it's actually got human clinical trials validation. So I'll be back in a minute on that, but thanks for sharing that. I appreciate when people are honest and willing to partake in the struggles that they're having. So calorie deficit, there's no medical proof. There's not one study out there that says calorie counting works long term. So I just showed you guys a study called Stop Counting Calories by Harvard University that actually says the opposite, that calorie counting does not work long term. Now, one third thing to look at is if calorie deficit was the bee's knees and it did work long term, how come the numbers are going up? More and more people are becoming overweight, more and more people are becoming obese, more and more people are becoming diabetic. Here's another resource for you guys to look up and verify everything I'm sharing with you. Next time you're on your web browser, go look up obesity apocalypse. You're going to find some information by a British medical journal called the Lancet Journal. They predict that if the trend continues here in the US, that by 2050, more than 260 million people will become overweight or obese. So you tell me now, if counting calories was all it's cracked up to be, wouldn't the numbers be coming down? There's over 100 diets out there. There are these newer pharmaceutical drugs that suppress the appetite, and yet the numbers are going up. So we've got some irrefutable proof, I think, at this point. So if counting calories is not all it's cracked up to be, what other options do we have? Well, I want to share a system with you right now that is, it does not rely on calorie deficit. It has undergone 7 human clinical trials at different universities. A human clinical trial, by the way, is the highest level of medical investigation there is. There's nothing higher. This is what the drug companies have to do before they can market a new medication. It has to undergo testing on people. So the system I'm going to share with you in a moment, I got a couple of slides I'm going to jump into. The original concept of this system was to figure out a way to dial back the amount of food you eat, but unlike calorie deficit, not cut back on nutrition. So there's no calorie deficit with this. This is what I'm talking about. This is a 30-day reset. And I like to compare it with a tune-up for a car. You know, when you tune up the car runs optimally, preferably on all cylinders. Well, this 30-day system is like that for the body. Rather than throw it into a deficit and deny yourself the nutrients that you need for long-term weight loss results, this system actually floods the body with nutrition. And it also helps to lower stress and also detoxify the body. So these three, I call them the 3 culprits: nutritional deficiency, toxicity in the body, and stress. Those are what contribute to poor health conditions and excessive weight gain. Now, I am a really big proponent of sharing clinical data. For the simple reason, you guys don't have to take my word for it, because there's a lot of bro science on these social media channels. Check out how this system performed when it was tested against the gold standard in the US, which is the Mediterranean diet. The Mediterranean has been voted the #1 diet in America by U.S. News and World Report 8 years in a row now. It's not a bad diet, but it is calorie deficit. So in the first of 7 studies, the 30-day, after 8 weeks, people on the 30-day got 56% more weight loss, twice as much visceral fat loss, that's the fat in the belly, 41% drop in food cravings, 25% improvement in gut health, and then people actually added muscle. See, if this was calorie deficit, people would be losing muscle, not adding muscle. And it's a really easy system to implement. So this system really outperformed the Mediterranean diet. Watch now in the next couple slides how easy this is to implement. Ivan, my Spanish is a little bit rusty, so not sure what you said. So there's 3 core products with this system. The first are the superfoods. For the first 6 days of each week, you replace 2 of your 3 meals. How easy is that? And each of these superfood meals, you get all 90 key nutrients that you need. We're supposed to be getting that in every meal, and most of us are not. They're low glycemic. They're not going to spike your sugar level. They come in 36 grams of whey or plant-based protein. They're gluten-free. They're soy-free. You get your essential vitamins and minerals. So this is going to help make up for the nutrients that sadly are no longer abundant in our store-bought foods. And it's less than a Starbucks. And there's no junk chemicals. There's no microbial activity, no heavy metals, fungicides, herbicides, pesticides, dioxins, PCBs. Unfortunately, a lot of the stuff that I just rambled through is in a lot of our foods. Not to mention these contaminants are in the environment. So for the first 6 days, flood the body with nutrients. On the 7th day, we do a day of intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting, supported with this botanical product, is going to help to get rid of those awful toxins that we're all subjected to. Things like dioxins, PCBs, forever chemicals. Forever chemicals don't break down. They're not called forever chemicals for no reason. And unfortunately, the environment has gotten more polluted over the decades. So on the day of detox or intermittent fasting, we take this product 4 times throughout the day to get rid of those awful toxins. And the third and final core product are adaptogens. Adaptogens are these wonderful botanicals that help us to recover from stress. They help to take the edge off when we're stressed out, and they also help to improve our energy level when we're feeling sluggish. That's why they're called adaptogens. They help us to adapt. So really simple system to delve into. No counting calories, none of the mental gymnastics. Can I plug in the toaster or the hairdryer? You know, can I eat the Cornish hen or the salmon? You don't have to pick and choose like that. This system, it makes every method of calorie deficit obsolete. There's no deficit, no loss of lean muscle. People actually add the lean muscle. So what this ensures is that you're going to lose weight and keep it off for the long haul. That is the biggest drawback to calorie deficit. It only works in the beginning for most people, and then they put the weight back on again. That's got to be demoralizing. All your hard work end up working against you. See, that's the thing. People, we've had this whole approach to weight loss backwards. We've all been under the impression that to get healthy, you have to lose weight. It's the other way around. You actually have to get healthy first in order to lose weight and keep it off long term. That's why so many people are struggling with this. So if you're one of these people, or you know somebody who's been up and down with diets, they call them yo-yo diets for a reason, or you're doing these pharmaceuticals to suppress the appetite, maybe you're experiencing one of many different side effects, or you, in fact, have slowed down your metabolism with these semi-glutides because they're going to do the same thing that a diet does. This is a system that's worth taking a look at. Sometimes in life, we don't know what we don't know unless we take that extra step and we do some more investigation. So I'm going to wrap it up in a minute, but I want to share a resource that you guys can take a look at. This is a website that you can access. There's a link on my homepage here, The Body Wish here on YouTube. It's called thebodywish.wordpress.com. I encourage you to go and take a look at it, go up to products, and click on nutritional system. I paused for a second. I'm like, what the heck did I call the menu? But it's called nutritional system. It's got a lot of great information, and it's got a nice short 3-minute video there that delves into a lot of what I just shared with you. little bit about the science, the ease of taking this, implementing it day to day, et cetera, et cetera. So if anybody's got any questions, if you know somebody who needs help, I encourage you, reach out to me here. In fact, I forgot to mention on the website, there's a contact page. If you want to set up a Zoom call, there's a Calendly link there. Sometimes it's best just to get on a Zoom call where you can bring your questions, bring your skepticism, and I will do my utmost to put some clarity to this. Got nothing to lose. It's got a 30-day money back. It's half the price of what the folks are paying for the semaglutide medication without the side effects. It's all natural, wholesome ingredients. I'll tell you on a side note, I got on this system 4.5 years ago. I actually was not having weight issues. My weight's been normal, but I had a period of over 25 years where I was dealing with these unexplained bouts of exhaustion and fatigue, tinnitus in the ears, poor sleep conditions. I went around the block trying to find a solution. I worked with a number of MDs at first, struck out in every case. Then I worked with a naturopath. I hired a registered dietitian. I worked with a nutritionist. I also lived with a chef for 10 years. So I'm not a stranger to eating healthy foods. I know how to cook. So on paper, I was doing everything by the book, and yet all these different modalities I tried, it was swing and a miss. Everything I tried failed. So I actually threw in the towel. I figured these are the cards you were dealt. Just, live with it. 4.5 years ago, somebody I know for a long time calls me up. We get into a conversation about well-being, things that add quality to life. This system comes up in the conversation. He has a lot of good things to say about it, clean ingredients, clinical tests done outside of the influence of the company to ensure they're unbiased. Long story long, everything sounded really interesting. So I said, you got my attention. I'll take this for a test run, and let's see what happens. I had zero expectations. I did this more out of curiosity. But I got to tell you, 1 week into this system, 1 week of loading up on superfoods and then doing that day of intermittent fasting, the following day, I had a really significant breakthrough. 5 years of brain fog had cleared up. I don't know if any of you guys have ever had brain fog. That name was a never better description, because you literally feel like when you wake up in the morning, you're 10 feet underwater. I would need about 30 minutes to snap out of it. Well, that was the first thing to clear up. The brain fog went away. I felt more rested. I actually had a good night's sleep, first time in ages. So I went through the whole 30-day system, and everything improved. Stress level came down. I knew my stress level was coming down because I wasn't swearing at my computer as much. That's how I knew the adaptogens were working. And everything improved. So for the next couple of months, I tried various products that this company made, and I thought, wow, this is impressive. After everything that I tried and struck out with, finally, I hit it out of the park. So it was about 3 or 4 months that I decided I'm going to try doing some exercise again, because I actually had to stop exercising for 5 years because my fatigue got that bad. So I started doing some hatha yoga for 10 minutes. No backlash the following day. No tinnitus, no dizziness, no feeling like I was up all night. So I got braver. I started bumping it up to 15 minutes, then to 20, 30, 40, 45 an hour. And I thought, this is too good to be true. So then I started lifting weights again. And I thought, for sure, something's going to crack here. I'm going to crack like a cheap watch. Didn't happen. I didn't get the backlash. And then about 8 months ago, I got into doing speed walking to get my cardio back. So I turned 61 before Christmas. I had to stop exercising for 5 years, but for the last 4 years, everything's been working like it should be. So for me, this was really, a Kodak moment. Everything improved. So enough of my rambling, huh? So if you or somebody you know is struggling with the things that I described, with, going up and down with the weight because you can't find a reliable solution, dealing with the brain fog, dealing with the low energy, dealing with the overall doom and gloom outlook on life, it's worth taking a look at. So let me know if I can help you. I'll put the website back up for anybody who just joined. thebodywish.wordpress.com. Go to products, go to holistic system. Take a look at it. You've got nothing to lose. If it looks intriguing to you, go to the contact page on the same website, hit the Calendly link, schedule a time where we can talk on Zoom, and I will share everything I know about it. So on that note, I'm going to drop off because I haven't had anything to eat since this morning. So speaking of hunger cravings, I think I've got a few that I have to put them in the past. Thank you so much for joining my presentation. It's been an honor to be here. Enjoy the rest of your day. Ciao for now.